I'll go ahead and get my screen back up for everyone. There you go. So to get us started for today, I do have a course here. I'm gonna go ahead and have a look to see how many we have in so far. We've got about half of you in already, so that's great. You can either look at my screen for the code, or you can copy and paste it from the chat. I'll go ahead and get back in the chat again for those of you that would like to grab it from the chat. The name of the course today is called Mastery Charter Diverse Learners. Everything is also recorded. So if you'd like to come back and view anything that we looked at today for later on, you'll be welcome to. Also, everything that we're looking at in this course today is going to remain available. You all are going to be put in as administrators with this course. So that means that you will be able to take this content with you if you'd like to, if you find anything interesting, and you can use it in the future for your own trainings or anything like that. So while everyone's joining, I'm going to go ahead and make everybody an admin. And I see there just was a question about somebody asking about being an admin. Yep, that's coming. So hold on tight. You'll be an admin in just a moment. And once you do join the course, you will see that there is a discussion on the home page of it, just called Introduce Yourself. It'd be great if you're able to take a moment to introduce yourself. Let me learn a bit more about you all before we get started today. We have half of our time today, and then we're going to meet again in February to finish up the rest of the agenda. So right now I'm just making everybody an admin. I'll let you know once I have everyone. It looks like we might have some more people that are, actually, nope, everyone's in right now. And my name is Matt, for anybody that is wondering. And of course, anytime throughout our session today, you will be able to ask questions. You can either turn your mic on, ask away that way, or you can put it in the chat, whichever you're most comfortable with. We've got just about everybody here. Okay, it looks like we might just be missing a couple of people from the course. If there's anyone that is having any difficulty with joining, please let me know and I'll be sure to help you out. Okay, I'm going to take a look real quick to see if you have joined the course yet. Okay, it looks like you're in, Marshall, and where you'll find it is take a look at your M's for Mastery Charter. Everything in your course list is going to be alphabetical, and so if you find Mastery Charter, then you'll see Diverse Learners right underneath.
Okay.
Okay, we've got a question about great. We have questions about how to join a course. The way that you can join a course, I'll make sure I'll put this so everyone can see it. The way that you can join a course in Schoology is you click on courses at the top left of your screen. After you click on courses at the top left, then you'll want to click on My Courses on the right side of your screen. If your video is turned on, sometimes the videos, they cover up the My Courses button. So you might have to move the videos for everyone, and then you'll be able to get there. All right, great. Glad to hear you found it. Yeah, that happens a lot. I'll go ahead and just make sure everybody can see it. Yeah, this is a very common thing I'll see with these online meetings is very frequently the videos will cover the My Courses button. right, I think we've got everybody in. We might just be missing one, perhaps, unless somebody's in the meeting twice. We'll go ahead and get those directions in the chat one more time, and then we'll go ahead and get started with looking at that discussion.
Hi team, this is Wales. Just wanted to let you know that I'm here today. If you have any questions about getting into the class, feel free to chat me and I will be happy to assist.
Perfect. Thank you for letting us know about that. All right, great. And what I'll do is I'm gonna go ahead and just put a mute over everyone, but of course, anytime throughout a session, you're welcome to unmute yourself at any time if you'd like to ask a question or if you have any comments about anything. So happy to have you all here today. All righty. I see we've already got a few responses in the introduce yourself. So I'm gonna have a quick look at this and then we'll get started. Let's see who we have here today. All right. Excellent. I've heard a lot about those things. Is that Cricut? Hopefully I'm saying that right. Walk-in's always great too. Excellent. It's always fun to get to learn a little bit more about everyone I get to work with today. It's great. Yeah, I see Netflix a lot. I've already seen it a few other times as well. Netflix, Netflix, Netflix. Oh, look at that. If anybody likes cats, we have a couple wonderful cats. All right. Good deal, everyone. Thank you for taking a moment to fill it out. We've got a whole litter of puppies here. Wow. If you are looking at the discussion and you are new to Schoology, you might be wondering, hey, maybe the new responses aren't coming in. Why can't I see those? With the discussions in Schoology, you do have to refresh your screen. And once you refresh your screen, you will see some new responses come in. And Schoology always does a pretty good job of telling you with the little color indicators. Like if you're looking at my screen, you can see I've got the 3 there, 3. It tells me there are 3 responses I haven't seen yet, and I can see that color on the right side of those as well. Excellent. Definitely a big fan of hiking. Try to get into the Sierra when I can. All right. Okay, that sounds great, Sarah. Thank you for the update on that. All right. Yep, definitely making some new recipes as well. Great. So if you are still looking at the discussion, we can get back to the home page of our course by scrolling up to the top. And if you click on materials or mastery charter, either one of those will get you back to the home page of the course. And that's always something nice to share with students that you're working with as well. I see we have some more responses in there. I definitely want to keep looking at it, but at the same time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and take a look at those later. So thank you for those of you that did take a moment to fill out the introduce yourself. So today we're here for meeting the diverse learning needs of our students. Some of the things we're going to be looking at today today as well as in February, is we're going to be looking at course design and how to better design our courses for successful distance learning for our students. We'll be looking at different web tools we can utilize within our courses to help make things better for them. And of course, we'll also be looking at even some other products that you can use with like your web browsers, but stuff like that will come into play more in February. And we're going to also look at learning objectives, mastery objectives in Schoology. How can you create those? How can you use those? I do have just a couple of slides we're going to take a look at today. And so for this first part, you're welcome to have a look at my screen. That way you're not trying to go back and forth between my screen and your screen. All right, so hopefully everybody can see my screen all right. And so there we go. So here we're here for strategies for meeting the needs of our diverse learners. That's me. For anybody that's wondering who I am, I've been in Schoology for a few years now, but I taught science, secondary science, like chemistry and physics, all those fun things. But I did have a chance to use Schoology as a classroom teacher with blended classes, virtual classes, as well as putting together professional development. and been a district admin for about 70,000 kids. So that's just a little bit about me. And just went over this, so won't worry about doing that again. And I always like to start these sessions just by looking at a short video. We're going to watch about 4 minutes of it just to kind of get started with our thinking and keeping our courses accessible. So I'm going to share my sound and we're going to just double check. If you can verify with me that you can hear it, then we'll go ahead and start.
Web access.
All right. Were you all able to hear that? It was real quick. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and set my screen here to full so that way we can watch it. And let's take a look, see what we have here for web accessibility.
Accessibility perspectives. Video captions. Video isn't just about pictures, it's also about sound. Without the audio, you'd have to guess what this film is about. Frustrating, isn't it? Not knowing what's going on. That's the situation for everyone who can't hear. Captions make videos accessible, which is also handy for people who want to watch video in loud environments or where you need to be very, very quiet. Colors with good contrast. There's something about great design that allows it to go practically unnoticed. But it doesn't take much to make things confusing and frustrating. Choosing colors with poor contrast makes navigating, reading, and interacting a real pain. Good design means sufficient contrast between foreground and background colors. That's not just text and images, but links, icons, and buttons. If it's important enough to be seen, then it needs to be clear. And this is essential for people with low contrast sensitivity, which becomes more common as we age. With good colors, websites and applications can be easier to use in more situations, like in different lighting conditions. Voice recognition. Imagine if you could only communicate with your family by writing. Sometimes it's just easier to speak. One of the advances of technology is voice recognition, whether it's searching the web,
19th century architecture,
dictating emails,
Send email to Jack Hardy.
or controlling your navigation app. Many people with physical disabilities rely on voice recognition to use the computer.
Place order.
But for that to happen, websites and apps need to be properly coded.
Go. Cancel.
Voice recognition can help lots of
No.
other people with temporary limitations too, like an injured arm.
Place order.
It can also prevent injuries becoming worse, like RSI, repetitive stress injury, or for people simply preferring voice.
Text to speech.
Some people can't see the text on the screen. Fortunately, computers can convert text to speech.
It's technology that many people who are blind have been relying on for years. But it's also important for many people with dyslexia, and very useful for people with difficulty reading text, as well as some people who just like to multitask. But for this to work, websites and apps have to be properly coded, which has the added benefit of helping search engines index websites' contents better. Clear layout and design. Poor layout can be very frustrating. And the same applies to the web. Good design involves good layout, and that means a better user experience. This includes clear headings, navigation bars, and consistent styling. Any web user will get frustrated with bad layout and design. Complex layouts also make finding information difficult or impossible for people with visual disabilities. And they are confusing for people with cognitive and learning disabilities who need clarity and consistency of the presentation. Bad design also impacts anyone who isn't particularly confident around computers.
All right, it's just a little bit about accessibility and things to keep in mind as we begin creating our content in Schoology. The next activity is also going to be related to web accessibility as well. Just always thought that was kind of a fun little video. See, it's a little bit longer, but of course you can always come back and watch it later on if you'd like to finish viewing it. Alrighty. And so as we start learning more about accessibility, of course, it's going to be great to keep in mind all the needs of our students, disabilities or not, just everything, that should always be the foundation of everything that we create for our students. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the slideshow. That'll be enough for slides. I don't think I'll be showing any, actually, I won't be showing any more slides for the rest of our time together, but there are quite a few slides here. If you ever want to come back, it's more or less just going to give a recap of the different things that we're looking at today, as well as in February. So it just kind of gives an outline of all the things that we're looking at. So at this time, everyone, let's go ahead and switch back to your screens. We're ready to start clicking around a little bit more. And where we're going to start today is we are going to start in the folder called Learning About Accessibility Requirements for Online Learning. So on your screens, go ahead and click on that folder there. You can either click on the folder or you can click on the picture below it. Either one of those will take you into that folder. And now, once we're here, you see I've got a link there, a discussion, and a quick page. In this link, it just has a little bit about web accessibility. I'm going to click on this and just read a couple of things from it before we take a look at the discussion. So you're welcome to click on it as well, or you can look at my screen from here. And web accessibility just means that you have your websites, tools, technologies, they are designed and developed so that people with disabilities can use them. Basically, it helps everyone, whether you have a disability or not, but it's certainly necessary for anybody with auditory, cognitive, neurological, physical, or speech or visual impairments. But it can help anyone. So that's just a little bit about web accessibility for those of you that wanted to read a little bit more about it. And now back on our Schoology page, what you'll see here is I have a discussion called Keeping Accessibility First discussion. Let's go ahead and click on this. Keeping accessibility first. And what we're about to look at next is we're going to be looking at basically a little checklist of different ways to make our courses digitally accessible. From that link, there'll be 2 questions I want you to keep in mind as you're looking at it. What is something new that you've learned from the link above, as well as how can you ensure your courses are accessible to all learners? So let's go ahead and click on that link. Click to go to the digital accessibility checklist. Once you click on that link, you'll see we have a bunch of little pictures here with some text that kind of moves around, and you can click on any of these. As you click on these different images, for example, the one on the top left, it says text and links. If I want to learn more about text and links when it comes to making them accessible, I can click on it and say, okay, so here's my text. It's all in at least 12 point, sans serif on my fonts, bulleted or number list. So these are all things that I can do with my text in order to make it more accessible for my students. There are some other items here as well about images, tables, colors. What I'm going to do is just put a little timer here. Go ahead and take 5 minutes, go through all of those different little sections, and then take a moment to talk about something you've learned, as well as how you can implement maybe what you've learned here into your courses to make them more accessible. I'll start that timer now in about 5 minutes, then we'll take a look at your responses. So once you have your answers, you can write a comment below in the discussion. Also, I just placed in the chat, I know we just had someone join us a moment ago. I've got the directions for how to join our course this morning in the chat for you. All right, so we have here for responses so far. I've got a lot. Great. And would anybody like to comment outside of the discussion, either what they've typed about or anything they thought that maybe was interesting about what they read? All right, we've got some great responses here so far. You know, it's a great question, Smith. I've actually not really tried. One thing I did like about the Google Slides I just did earlier was I at least put the captioning as I'm speaking, but I've never checked anything else on them. It's a good question. All right, great responses from everyone. Thank you all for taking a moment to fill that discussion out. Let's see, we should have a few more here. I like your use of color there with your background text. As you're speaking about color. Yep, color combinations. So we have one more here. All righty. Excellent. So again, thank you so much, everyone, for taking a moment to answer those discussion responses. Hopefully picked up a few little tips and tricks out of there. And of course, it's always a nice place to refer back to just to help out with keeping your courses more accessible. I know the big thing for me always when I was designing courses, at least I always try to really key on, was always the use of captions or transcripts with my videos, and the use of colors as well as pictures with alternate text. Those are always just some of the big things that I try to keep an eye out for outside of your standard fonts that Schoology has. Now, if we scroll back up to the top, that will allow us to get back to the home page of the course. If we click on Mastery Charter, that will take us home, or you can also click on learning about accessibility requirements for online learning. This will take us back to that folder with that same name. And I'm just going to click to go back to that folder with that same name real quick, just to kind of share with you that these are some of Schoology's key features for accessibility. There they are. So if you're curious about, some of the things that Schoology has available to it, feel free to have a look at that sometime. I won't worry about reading that line by line, but there's quite a bit there. And that's just a little bit of information about how Schoology is accessible for all of our users. Now let's go ahead and navigate back to the home page of this course. We can get back to the home page by clicking on Materials. And after we click on Materials, we're back to the home page of our course. The next folder that we're going to now spend some time in is called Thoughtful Course Organization. Let's go ahead and have a look at this. So once you're back on the home page of the course, go ahead and click on Thoughtful Course Organization. And the first thing that we're going to look at with this folder today is we're going to take a look at the IEP goals and custom learning objectives. So let's go ahead and click on that. There's not going to be really a whole lot of content in this one. The main thing that we're just going to look at here is what are learning objectives? And we're also going to practice with creating custom learning objectives and importing those objectives as well. All right, great, Sarah. So for those of you that if you haven't been watching the chat, the Padlet for the questions is now working. So if you have questions for your directors, go ahead and you can add them there. Excellent. So now, what are learning objectives in Schoology? Learning objectives in Schoology are basically objectives of sets, knowledge, skills, or even behavior that your learners are expected to know. You can use objectives that have been created at the various state levels to be used within your courses, or you can create your own custom learning objectives that can match perhaps the IEPs of your students. So look at both, how to create your own, how to bring in some that have already been created. And what your learning objectives are great for is they're great for showing student mastery. For example, if I was using learning objectives, I would be able to use those learning objectives to view a mastery report. And a mastery report in Schoology looks a little bit like this. If you're taking a look at my screen, and on those mastery reports, I will be able to see my students on the left side of my course. I can see all of the standards that I have at the top, whether they are various state standards or if they are my own custom standards that I've put together for the student. And this mastery report is based on a 4-point grading scale, but you can base them on any scale that you would like to. 0 to 100, pass, fail, things like that. It looks like we have another that is joining us, so that's great. So first off, before we get into the area of our accounts where we can begin to create and manage our learning objectives, let's go ahead and download this spreadsheet right up here. You'll see at the top of this folder, there's a spreadsheet called Example IEP Custom Learning Goals. Go ahead and click on that to download it. And once you click on it, you can pick wherever you like to put it on your computer. You can download it by clicking on the little arrow at the top right of the document, or you can click at the bottom here to download it. Either one of those works. I'll go ahead and give everyone a moment to download that. And while that's happening, I'll work on pulling up another mastery report, or another way to show how your mastery reports can be used as well. All right, so hopefully at this time everyone has the spreadsheet downloaded to their account. And once you have the spreadsheet downloaded to your account, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at our personal resources. And what we're going to do, we can do this within our personal accounts just for us, or we can also do this within groups. So everything that you do with your learning objectives in Schoology can be shared. So if if one person does it, they can share it with other people. Not every single person has to do this. So let's go ahead and click on our resources. You'll see your resources button at the top middle of your screen in Schoology. After clicking on resources, then you'll see that there is a section there called learning objectives. Go ahead and click on that learning objectives, please. And this is the space in your account where you can create and manage learning objectives that are your personal learning objectives, as in they are within your account. This can be done by you, or you can also do this within groups as well to share it with other people. When we're looking at our learning objectives, you'll see at the middle there, you can click add. So let's go ahead and click add to add a folder. And a folder of learning objectives can just be they can represent an entire course. It might even represent maybe a specific student or a specific set of learning objectives that you have that you would use for specific IEPs, things like that. For my folder today, I'm just going to call it Training Objectives 111. You can also give it a description. The description will be seen as you or somebody else is trying to add this objective to, or this area with the objective in it. They'll see it as they're going through this folder. So I'll just put a description there. And once you've made your folder, you should now see it there. Go ahead and click on it. Once you click on your folder, you should see the name of it at the top of your course. Please let me know if I've lost anybody up to this point, and then I can definitely go through any of these steps again. All right, sounds like everybody's good. So now that we're here, let's go ahead and click add again. And this time when you click add, you'll see now we're going to take a look at the first one, custom learning objective. So you can click add and then custom learning objective. This is how you can create custom learning objectives to go along with your students. These could be objectives that are unrelated to like your course content. They could be like behavioral things, or they could be content things. It's up to you on how you want to set those personal learning objectives. I'm working on pulling up a mastery report that can kind of show like your not standard objectives, but what I'll do is I'll pull it up in just a couple of minutes. So example for a custom learning objective, you might say this is something like, maybe you'll call it communication. Okay, and the description of it can be student is successfully communicating. A little general, but that's just to kind of show that you can make these about whatever you like. You can make them to measure whatever you like as you assign them to different things. So it can be content, or it can just be more of like the soft skills, whatever you're looking for. And that is how you can create some custom learning objectives in Schoology. You just click add, custom learning objective, and that's it, all there is to it. Now, what you can also do in Schoology, as I mentioned before, is I can click add up here, and then let's click on state standards this time. So click add, state standards. And when you click on your state standards, this is where you can then begin to pull from a pool of all of the standards for the learning objectives that are already in Schoology. So based on what you need, you can take a look at any of these items here, whether Common Core, Or you can go down to the bottom, you can see a section there for state standards. When you're looking at state standards, maybe I want to scroll down and look for Pennsylvania. So I'm like, okay, so here's Pennsylvania. And I'll see these are the different types of standards that we have in here for Pennsylvania. And then you can click on the different sections that you might need for your courses. So at this time, go ahead and take a couple of minutes, click through here, see what you find. Try to add at least a few objectives to your account here. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure I'm going to add maybe 10 to mine. Go ahead and add some to yours as well. And we'll continue in just a couple of minutes. I'll go ahead and put a little timer up. So there we go. I'll set that for, we'll say for 3 minutes. And if anyone's having any difficulty with creating their own custom standards or just kind of how to add standards from the state standards, let me know and I'll be sure to help you out. But go ahead and take a couple minutes and play around with those buttons there and see what you find. And of course, if there are any comments, let me know.
Excuse me, I'm still listed as a student. I don't know how to add the objectives.
Okay, I'll go ahead and get you switched up to an admin. And you don't have you don't have to add the objectives to this course. It's just adding to your account.
Oh, okay.
But I'll definitely get you in as an admin.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, you're all set.
Thank you. Sorry, I had to pick up my laptop from school and they got a little bit delayed. So I was driving when I was listening to you. So I apologize for that.
Oh, that's just fine. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And better be safe than sorry. So, all right. And of course, if there was anybody that is having any difficulty with putting the objectives with their account, let me know and I can definitely walk through that process again. While y'all were taking a look at those, I did pull up an example of a mastery report when I was working through some standards with a previous client. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just pull it up on my screen here real quick. And here's an example of what we wanted to do with them. They were looking for, again, kind of those soft skills outside of just the curriculum. Does the student know the curriculum? Okay, great. But we also want to measure the student based on their wellness, their overall respect, relationships, integrity, skills, and knowledge. So they wanted their own custom way to measure the skills of the student. And so what they do throughout the course, so example, I have this student here named Keisha. If I want to click on Keisha's name, I could even see, okay, so here are some different checks, like a week 1 check, a week 2 check, a week 3 check, where the student is being assessed on, these different skills. And we talked about them doing little self checks for the students as well, where the students could rate themselves, the teachers could rate them. So that could be an interesting way to use your custom learning objectives too. And with these mastery reports, when you do use them with your students, you will be able to see, where are your students more successful, as well as perhaps where they are less successful. You can also click on the different objectives as well. So if I click on this objective here called wellness, I will be able to see, okay, here are my students in my class. Here is their overall grade, and here is how they're doing on the different items that measure wellness. So just one way to view the mastery. So you can do it with, again, like a soft skill type of thing like that, or for like specific IEP goals, or you can do it for curriculum. It's all up to you and how you want to put together your standards. And we'll look at as well how you can create rubrics as a way to measure these standards for your students and include them in your courses. So I'm going to go ahead and hop back to my learning objectives here. And was there anyone in our session today that had any difficulty with adding some learning objectives to their account? Just to kind of experiment with it? All right, if not, that's great. It's not too bad of a process. And of course, you can also nest folders within folders. So you might have a top folder, and then you'll have more folders and more folders and more folders. Oh, I see we've got a couple of comments here in the chat, and we'll go ahead and take a look at those. Let's see here. So I don't know where I can, so where you can add the objectives, you can either add them to your resources or to your group. Where we were looking at now is we're looking at how you can add them to your personal resources. So for that first question, if you click on resources at the top of your screen, after you click on resources at the top of your screen, then you'll see the learning objectives there. By clicking on learning objectives, you will be in the learning objectives area of your account. Now, we haven't added any of these to any items yet. We'll be looking at how to add them to different items in our courses as well. So we haven't added anything. We're just kind of creating them here, and then we'll add them to our different assignments later on. Alrighty, and so now we have, how is the data? Okay, and so how is the data being added to that mastery report that I just had up? That was being added based on rubrics that were assigned to the assignments in the class. And so what we're going to be looking at is actually next, after we practice with import, is we're going to practice with how we can assign these objectives to different items in our classes to populate those reports. So that's what we'll be looking at next. But before we do that, we had to go here first to play around with this. All right, now before we leave this page, let's go ahead and practice with the import. The import feature for your learning objectives is very helpful as well, because if you already have a list of objectives that you're using with the student or with students, and they're set up in a CSV file with the objective and then the description of it, you can upload those into Schoology, like that Excel sheet that I just had you all download. To practice with importing, go ahead and click Options. So we're back on your screens if you're not there right now. And when you click on Options, then you'll see a button there for Import. So you've got Options, Import. After you click Import, Schoology is going to ask you, okay, pick a folder. So right now I've got no folder here. And maybe you want to add it to that folder that you just made. So that way you just put everything inside of your training folder. So if I click that drop down there, I'm going to change it to my training objectives folder. Once I change it to that folder, then I can click attach file. So I've got the folder, attach file, and then you can pick out the file that you'd like to add. Once you pick out the file, and the file, it might be in your downloads folder, it might be in your pictures folder. It's wherever you generally download things to your device. But once you have it there, then you can click upload. So I've got my folder, I picked the drop down, I've attached my document or my CSV file here, and then I can upload it. After you click upload, Schoology will then ask you, does this have headers? And this one does have headers. So if you check that box for first row contains headers, you'll then see that you can then match up the title with the title column and the description with the description column, and it will generate a preview for you as well. Then once you click preview, you can see how they will all come in, and then click confirm. This is a very quick way to get a lot of standards into Schoology very quickly. So this sheet had 24 standards that we were able to upload in a matter of 5 or 6 clicks. And of course, keep in mind, not everybody has to upload standards. Oftentimes what organizations will do is they will distribute the standards via like a school group or just a regular group. So then when teachers are creating content and they want to assign the standards that have been created, they then can just reference that group as opposed to creating it themselves. So now we've looked at how to create our custom learning objective, as well as pulling from objectives that Schoology already has and importing. Any questions or comments about any of those three before we continue? Alrighty, and then if not, then what we're going to do next is we're going to practice with how can we begin to assign these to different areas of our course. How do we get that mastery report to populate? So at this time, everyone, let's go ahead and navigate back to the home page of that course that I had you all join this morning. And we're going to take a look at a practice folder where we'll begin to assign these objectives to some different items. So if you click on courses at the top left of your screen, and then click on Mastery Charter Diverse Learners, that'll take you back to the home page. While on that home page, you should now see a folder there called Practice Folder. If you don't see the folder there called Practice Folder, go ahead and refresh your screens. All right, and go ahead and click on that practice folder. Once you click into it, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make our own folder. So then that way we don't kind of bury each other's assignments that we're practicing with. So once you've made it to the practice folder, go ahead and click Add Materials, Add Folder. And I'm going to make a folder called Matt's Folder. Go ahead and make a folder, name it after you. And once we have our folders in there, then we can go ahead and click on your folder and we'll be ready to practice with creating. All right, looks like we've got a few in there so far.
I refreshed it and I don't see the practice folder.
Okay, what do you see on your screen right now?
Well, first when I go to my courses, it doesn't have this course listed, and I refreshed it. I have to click on my courses first. Like, it doesn't just show up in the picture, and then I have to click on the course through there.
Okay, yeah, you must already have 12 or more courses on your account.
Oh, okay, that's probably why. Okay, yep. So I found my courses. I clicked on the Mastery Diverse Learners, and then I see it now.
You do see it? Okay, great. I was just going to click onto it to see. Okay, great.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, that's fine. It's an orange folder there. I kind of snuck it in the middle. All right, it looks like we've got a bunch of folders there now. Perfect. Once you've got your folder made, go ahead and click into your folder and we're ready to go. So let's start with, actually give me just a moment here. Don't click anything yet. I almost forgot I have to put a category on this, otherwise we're going to run into some issues. So go ahead and click Add Materials. After you click Add Materials, then click Add Assignment. So we've got Add Materials, Add Assignment. So for this first one, I'm just going to do, I'm going to call this one Assignment with one objective. So with this first one, we'll just put one objective on this to see how it looks. You do have to give it some type of category, or you can leave it as ungraded. So if you scroll down, I'm not going to worry about the description and all that right now. The main thing we're going to focus on is just the learning objectives. And so we've got our assignment, we've got a name. For your category, go ahead and pick coursework. And then towards the bottom, you'll see that there's a section there called learning objectives with the word align. Go ahead and click align. Once you click align, you will then see Schoology's list of standards that they have there, just like what you saw before when we were working within our personal resources. But if you look at the top, you also have a section there called custom learning objectives. Go ahead and click on custom learning objectives. And before we were in our personal resources, so we've got custom, personal, and now once you're in your personal resources, you should see your training objectives folder there, which then you can click on and you will be able to see all of the objectives that you've put there. And from there, you can begin to click on them. You'll notice that you can click on more than one at a time, but for this assignment, I'm just going to click on one and then click add. Is there anyone here that has not been able to locate their training objectives for today? All right, if everybody's got it, then great. From there, you can go ahead and click create, and you've now just made an assignment with one learning objective. Let's go ahead and do an assignment with more than one. So I'll go ahead and click add materials again. So I'll do add materials, add assignment, and I'm going to call this one assignment with more than one objective. With this one, we'll give it a category again for coursework. Your learning objectives, you can click align, custom learning objectives, personal. And once you're in here, go ahead and click on a couple, at least 2, maybe 3 or 4 different learning objectives. I'm going to click on 3. And now what you'll see here I'll go ahead and put a mute in for everybody. There we go. And what you'll see here, as you add them, you'll see you have your 3 objectives there at the bottom, and then you can click create. What we've done now is we've basically created just a couple of assignments, one with one objective and one with multiple objectives. But we did not put a rubric on either one of them. If you do not put a rubric on your assignment, but it has more than one objective, then what it's going to happen is it's going to take that grade and apply it to all of those objectives. So if you ever have an assignment where you want to use multiple objectives because it touches on different facets, you'll need to use a rubric with it. So then that way you can set the different grades for the different areas of that rubric. So we're going to make one more assignment this time, but this time we're going to do a rubric with it. So go ahead and click add materials, add assignment. After we click add assignment, so I'll go ahead and I'm going to call this one assignment rubric. and give it a category. Instead of using the align button with learning objectives here, to put a rubric with these, you can click on numeric. After you click on numeric, you'll see you've already got one rubric in there. You have the option for create new. This is one place where you can create a rubric. It's not the only place, but it is one. So go ahead and click the numeric drop down and then create new. Once you click to create new there, you'll then see that we have a space for creating our rubrics. And with rubrics, just like your learning objectives, they can be shared with other teachers. So really only one person needs to create each rubric, and then they can share it. So if you and other teachers use the same rubrics, whether it's for the same student, if it's like a special ed rubric, or if it's a rubric for content, you can share them with other people. They're not just restricted to one class, to one assignment, and one teacher. They can be shared all throughout the system. When you're creating your rubrics, they can be a mix of criteria and learning objectives. At the bottom left there, you'll see criteria. And criteria is just basically creating you a blank space where you can write in whatever you want. But the criteria here does not feed into the mastery report. To get the numbers for that mastery report, like what I showed you in that picture earlier, you'll use the learning objectives. So go ahead and click on your learning objectives when you're looking at your rubric. Once you click on learning objectives, you can see all of the different objectives there again, where then you can click custom learning objectives into your personal. And just like before, you can now assign multiple objectives on this rubric. Each objective that you assign to the rubric is going to add a row to that rubric, signifying that that objective is going to be measured here. So then you can grade based on how the student did on that objective. After you assign the objectives to the rubric, you can then also adjust the points. Everything is based on the 4 points in the rubric, but it scales to out of 100%. You can change the text in here to match what the verbiage would be needed for that objective as well. Or you can change the points. While everything defaults to 4 columns, you don't have to leave it at 4 columns. You can have it as 2 columns or 3 columns or 1 column. It's up to you. Or you can add additional columns as well. Any questions or comments about these rubrics so far, how to align objectives to them or anything like that? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and click create here. And once we've created our rubric, we have it on our assignment. Then you can click create. And now we've made 3 different assignments, one with 1 objective, one with more than 1 objective, and one using a rubric. And so based on how you're trying to assess those learning objectives for your students, you can set up the rubrics or the assignment based on the needs of those. All right, any other questions or comments about learning objectives and utilizing rubrics within our courses? And if not, what we're going to be taking a look at next, we'll be coming back to practicing with creating as well, definitely for our next session. But we're going to take a look at a few other items today, such as how to organize courses as well as visuals. So let's go ahead and you can switch to my screen at this time if you'd like. And what I'm going to share with you is just a few different ways of organizing courses. It's not to say you have to organize your course this way, it's just to provide some other additional ideas. So on my screen, I'm still inside of the Thoughtful Course Organization folder here. And I'm going to click on the folder templates way to organize your course. I've got just 6 different samples here of ways that you can organize your courses. If you're elementary, I know some elementary teachers, being self-contained, they like to put all their subjects into one course. But with being PowerSchool, and certainly if you do have a grade pass back enabled, this doesn't necessarily pass very well into the grade pass back for Schoology, but you are able, some elementary teachers really like to do it this way. Some also like to organize it by content, and then they'll date it by the month. Look, I'll see some teachers, especially if you're working with really young students, where they might just throw in some homework and some overall information for the parents. So a parent can log into Schoology and see what does that child have going on for the class. I'll see some teachers like to organize it by the type of material. So we can organize Schoology by, okay, here's all of your homework, your tests and quizzes, your discussions, your projects, all those things, if you like to organize it by your type of material. And we can also do one subject per course organized by units of study. This is what I had personally done when I was working as a teacher using Schoology to teach my students. I just did the whole Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, etc. Seemed to work quite all right with my students, so that could be an option as well. And of course, there are other ways to design courses out there. The main thing I think that's always helpful is the more teachers in a building that are designing their courses in a similar fashion, then the easier it becomes for the students. So that way they don't have to try to learn, okay, I've got 6 different teachers and they're all designing their course in a wildly different way. That can be a little stressful for students. And so I think it's always a good idea to try to get together with other teachers of other content areas and seeing how they are putting their courses together as well. And now with you all, are you in as co-teachers with, or do you have your students in separate courses for you all, for those of you that are teachers? All self-contained? Okay. And so when you're self-contained, it means you have your students in their own separate courses then. Okay. Separate courses. Good deal. K2 or co-teachers, the rest are separate courses. Okay. Good to know. I'm gonna go ahead and switch back up here. And next up, we're gonna take a look at just a little bit in this area is just a little bit about creating visual anchors. So at this time, we go ahead and switch back to your screens and navigate to the folder called Thoughtful Course Organization. You can find it if you scroll down just a little bit, Thoughtful Course Organization, you'll see it, it's below the accessibility requirements. And once you click into the Thoughtful Course Organization, you'll see that there's a folder there called Creating Visual Anchors. Let's go ahead and click on it. And now once we're here creating visual anchors, you see I've got another discussion. So let's have a look at that visual anchors discussion. And this is just a little bit about creating and using pictures within your courses. You can create your own images if you'd like to, or you can also pull images from different places around the internet. Some places, no problem. You know, if you got the whole Creative Commons, you're good to go. And of course, some images cost money, but if you're looking for some repositories of images where you won't have any issues ever using, I've got a couple of links there for MyQ Graphics. I know because there's for some of the elementary people, you might like that with the clip art that's there. Pixabay as well as Noun Project. These can be good sources of free images that you can utilize throughout your courses for various purposes. You can also create images using websites like Canva, or you can use a program like Adobe Spark, Google Drawings. You can even use PowerPoint for creating images. And when you're using images on your courses, you can put them into your folders for descriptions. You can put them all over your pages, your quizzes, discussions. Images can be used all throughout Schoology. And students can upload images as well as the responses. They can submit images as assignment submissions. They can also submit images as discussion board responses. So for example, in this discussion board here, what we're going to do now is go ahead and find yourself an image or two that you like, whether using one of these websites or if you have some other images that you already like to use for your courses. Go ahead and take a moment to upload them to this discussion. You can upload them by clicking write a comment, and you'll see that there is a little file button there in the bottom left corner. So I'm going to grab a couple of images and upload them here. You can use, like I say, you can use these websites, or if you already have some you like to use, go ahead and practice with either creating an image or finding an image. And I'll check back in here, and we'll say 5 minutes should be plenty of time to get some images on this discussion.
It's not letting me post it.
Okay. For yours, let's see. Are you clicking the file button at the bottom left?
No, I just copied and pasted it.
Okay. With copying and pasting, sometimes you'll run into some issues with that. If you don't have the original image file, you might not be able to copy the image URL, or if the image URL ever changes, you won't be able to copy and paste. There are some you'll get away with it, but it's generally, if you want the image to be permanent, for continued use, you'll want to upload it. Which website are you trying to grab it from?
I just went to the I think it was the elementary website.
The clip art one? That's a fun one.
Yeah. Yeah, My Cute Graphics.
Mm-hmm. Were you just right clicking it and copying?
Yeah.
Okay. And with some, you can get away with that. Let me see if I can get it here. Yeah, so I got that one. But the problem is with doing that is this image right here is now referencing this website. And if something ever happens to this website, then I've lost my image. So for a discussion response, not a big deal, but if it's like a really important image that you like to use in your course over the years, perhaps, that's then where you want to take a moment to click on it and download it to your computer. So then you'll always have it and upload it from there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this one. I'll call this one picture 12.
Okay. So I right click it to download.
Yep, with these ones, if you right click, you'll see that there's an option that says save image as.
My computer doesn't give me that option.
Oh, and you won't always see that too, depending on what you're looking at.
Okay, it did say, okay.
It did? Okay, great. Another really useful tool that I was a huge fan of when it came to designing my courses with images was using the snipping tool. If you're on a Windows device, it's running at least Windows 7. And if you're not familiar with the snipping tool, I can definitely show that as
Yes,
well.
I love that tool. That's the only way that I do it, but it takes so long that I have to save it, like capture it, save it, and then upload it. So I was hoping there's a faster way, but you can't just copy and paste it. You have to download each. Okay.
That'll be the safest way to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And I will say, on that note of copying and pasting, Schoology is very good about retaining the format of what you copy from. But then again, you'll run into the potential issue of always having access to it in the future. All right, let's see what we have here for images. I've got some fun ones there. I like those. Oh, that one looks familiar. So I think for this one, this is off the Noun project, I believe. Is that where you got this one, Candace?
I pulled it from, what was that resource? Pixabay,
Oh, that was from Pixabay.
but I just right clicked and saved as.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it didn't work out.
You're right. With some of these, they'll have it set in the page somewhere where they don't want you to. Even it's a free image that you can use, but they want you to generally make an account, click on certain links to download it, and things like that. If you're not trying to do all that, you can get away with it by using the snipping tool for some images like that. Yeah, anytime if you're clicking right save image as and you see the web P there, then that's going to be unfortunately that won't be your image.
Got it.
But the snipping tool will get you out of there, so you'll be good with the snipping tool. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that looks big. Perfect. Yeah, little images like that I think are great. Little arrows, like click here, click there. Here's an arrow over here. Emojis are fun too. I've got a couple of folders. Awesome imagery, everyone, for our pictures. And so that's just a little bit about images. Of course, you can make your own if you'd like to, but there are so many images out there that are great that you can pull from all the internet and upload into Schoology. So what we'll practice with next is how can we add images to our assignments as well as our folders in Schoology. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on materials to go back to the home page of our course. Once we're back on the home page of the course, go ahead and click on that practice folder again, that orange folder that you see there. And this time on the practice folder, instead of clicking into your folder, what we're going to do is we're going to put an image on it. We can put an image on our folder by clicking on the little gear off to the right, and then click edit. The best way to get images into Schoology after you click on that gear and click edit is by using the insert content button. So all throughout Schoology, as you all are creating content, you will see this little button here with the arrow that has a box going into it. And that is going to be your insert content button. So go ahead and click on that and you'll see an option there for insert image. All right. Yeah, we'll come back to snipping tool right after this. That'd be great. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and click on insert content. And once there, you'll see image. Then you can click image, where you will be able to attach that file from your device. It's the safest way to get an image into Schoology. And then from there, you can make it larger, make it smaller. So this is getting into just a little bit of creating inside of Schoology, which next week next month when we get back together, we'll be looking at this toolbar, some more details of it. You know, what are some of the things that we can do with it for sure when we come back. But that's going to be the main way that you'll want to get images into Schoology. As was brought up before, yeah, you can copy and paste or try to copy and paste from various websites. So if I want to, I can take this, copy here, and paste it, and it works, but it's just a temporary fix. Your best bet will always be to upload it. And once you've put an image on your folder, then you can click on your image. The image will take you into your folder. And you can add an image to your assignments with that same button. So if you click on the little gear off to the right, then click edit. After you click edit, you'll see just like before, you've got the little insert content button. So you can click on the insert content, image media, and that will allow you to bring an image into your assignments. And so now now we can do images on our assignments, images on our folders. You can do images on your discussions, your assessments, all throughout the platform. We also looked at objectives, how to create objectives, as well as how to assign our objectives. Before we head out here today, we're also going to take a look at the snipping tool. For those of you that have never used the snipping tool before, I'll go ahead and pull that up as well. Give me just a moment. Oh, thank you for that. Okay, we'll get the snipping tool out right now. So for the snipping tool, I'm going to go ahead and let's see, there we go. That should be good. And so now I've got my screen. Whenever you want to do the snipping tool, you can just go to the bottom. And if you're on a Windows device, you can click the Windows button, type in snipping tool. And once you type in snipping tool, you will see the snipping tool come up. So this is it right here. It's just called snipping tool. It's a fun little program that you can use to do web captures or screen captures of anything that you'd like. So for example, maybe I want to do a screen capture of this part of my course. So I can click new. Once I click new there, I can then select the area I'd like to capture. So I'm going to capture this area as an image. Once I've captured this area as an image, I can save it. And so maybe I'll call it like image 14. And now I've got this image saved on my computer. It's an awesome tool to scour the internet for pictures, graphs, captions, all sorts of different things that you may want to use. So that's just a little bit about the snipping tool. And any Windows device should automatically have it. And just like now, once I've saved it, I can go into my assignment. And if I click my insert content, image media, attach file, I'll see that I have my image here, image 14, which I can click on, and there it is. Add it to my assignment just like that. So pretty slick little tool there. Okay, I'm gonna hand the reins back here. So let me go ahead and stop my share. That way you can definitely get those links shared for the attendance as well as the survey. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. I don't actually, yeah. Can you see it? I don't know if I shared it right. Screen two. Sorry.
I do see an attendance link.
All right, perfect. All right, so I'm also dropping it in the chat. If before you guys leave today, you could complete the attendance. The link now works with the correct sessions. And then also if you could take a few minutes to complete the survey. And then if there are any questions that you would like to directly ask one of the SPED directors, you can drop it in the Padlet, and then I'm going to email them all of the questions. Thank you.
I'd say I had a question about the highlighting things. We do have just a moment if you wanted to ask that again. I didn't quite catch, I think, what that question was.
That was me, Matt.
Yeah.
As you were like navigating through the screen, like the highlight box would come up at times, and then the arrow when you was focusing our attention to a certain area on the screen.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
That was all through using Zoom. Like you're talking about the orange
okay.
arrows and the boxes?
Okay. Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Yep, that was all using the what do you call it? I can't see it now that I'm not sharing my screen. But yeah, that was all through Zoom. Let's see, it's just under your annotate tools.
Okay, cool.
All right. Those, I believe that's all we have time for today. Thank you everyone for any questions and your comments, and thank you, Sarah, for sharing those items as well. And I look forward to our next session together. Is there anything else I can do to help you all out today?
Hey, Matt, when do you think the recording for today will be up?
I can get it in the course right away. It generally takes about a half hour to convert, and then it'll take a few minutes to upload. So if you want to check back in another hour or two, I can have it there.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you, Wells. All right.
Thank
You're very
you.
welcome, everyone. You're welcome. Oh, and then if Samantha is still here, that was part of the Google slideshow. If you hit the present on your Google slideshows, for example, I'll go ahead and pull up my slideshow. If you're still here, Samantha, I'm not sure if you're still here.
I'm still here.
Okay, great. If you're ever showing a Google slideshow to your students in present mode, there is a button at the bottom. I'm not sure if you can see this on my screen. Can you see it where it says captions?
Yes.
And if I click on that, then it will start to try to basically transcribe everything that I am saying.
Oh, so cool. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Which can be neat. Yeah, I'm a fan of that as well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put a stop to that recording, but thanks again, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.